StudyIQ IAS, आपका सिलेक्शन हमारा मिशन.
When you start learning about a subject, the most important thing that you do is know about the age and of course the most important authors of that age. अगर हम लिटरेचर की बात करें तो वो लिटरेचर अपने पीरियड्स में कैसे डिवाइड हुआ? Only because there were certain writers who were making the thematic concerns, who were making the ideologies of that age, and this is the reason कि हर एज का अपना अपना नाम हुआ. Whereas in today's lectures, we will be talking about the most important authors of every age, and once we understand them, we will get to know how that age got defined. All right, on that level, on that basis, let's go ahead with today's class, guys. I'm Dr. Anamta Rizvi, and a lot of students who are following me till now, they know that I'm your educator for English literature, and there are all the courses that are available on this platform are be it literature and everything. You will be every day we have our classes at 1 p.m. So every day live class hoti hai at 1 p.m. and we discuss about the entire syllabus jo bhi hota hai. These days I am doing the Rape of the Lock by Alexander Pope. So again the batch should be starting on 21st March, 21st April. If you all are interested, then you guys can go ahead. Baki ki details mein end of the class dungi. So before that, let's go ahead and talk about our writers. So the most important writers, now when we talk about Geoffrey Chaucer, हम वहाँ से देखते हैं कि that is the time when English literature began as a very serious subject, you could say. Subject in a sense that writers started writing in your East Midland dialect, that is in English. Okay, उस time पे French भी था, Latin भी था, many other languages were there, but Geoffrey Chaucer chose to write in the language of the masses, and that is English language. Now from there, English language picked up, and subsequently जितने भी हम लोग ने authors देखे हैं, they started using this language. So therefore Geoffrey Chaucer is often addressed as the father of English literature. Why? Because he was the one to choose East Midland dialect, that is the English language, as his medium of expression and use it in his works. So now Geoffrey Chaucer from 1340 to 1400s, of course, we consider it as a kind of an Old English period, and like Middle English period. Old English period हमारा Anglo-Saxon था, but we don't talk about that as in हमें information या नाम ही काफ़ी रहता है उसके जानकारी के लिए. But actually English literature started from the Middle English period, that is from Chaucer. So known as the father of English literature, he was the first to use the London dialect, Middle English, for high literature instead of French or Latin, effectively legitimizing the English language. इनके बहुत सारे work है, The Parliament and the Fowls है, and you have Canterbury Tales, you have Troilus and Cressida, Legend of Good Woman. He has written many important work, but the most important work is the Canterbury Tales. Now it is a humongous work. It talks about all the characters that you could see in society in the Middle English period. So it does not only tell about the story, it does not only tell about क्या उसमें concept क्या है, plot क्या है, but हमें एक reflection भी देता है about the society of Middle English period. Therefore, this becomes a very important author, that is Geoffrey Chaucer. Once you read Geoffrey Chaucer, you will have an explicit idea of what exactly Middle English period was. But in your course, UPSC English Literature students के लिए मैं बता दूं that your course starts from the period of Renaissance, and that is Shakespeare. Now Shakespeare से आपका course शुरू होता है, Chaucer से नहीं होता है. Ideally तो Chaucer से शुरू होना चाहिए, but still we have William Shakespeare from where you have your first text. So Renaissance का age है, we all know that William Shakespeare was born during the period of Renaissance, जब Queen Elizabeth I का rule था, 1564 to 1616 इनका birth और death year है. Now the Bard of Avon कहा जाता है इनको, very famously known. He has written he's one of the most famous, popular, most read writers across the globe. So he revolutionized English drama and poetry. His mastery of the iambic pentameter, his deep psychological insight into characters, these are all staples of Elizabethan era. Tragedies क्या हैं? Hamlet, King Lear, Othello, Macbeth. इसमें से King Lear, and you have The Tempest, जो कि एक it's kind of a happy ending, a romantic comedy. उसमें आपकी आती है, and Tempest has always been the last of the plays. Okay, 1611 में लिखा गया, it is considered the last play. So sonnets भी इनके, ये poet भी थे, dramatists भी थे. So he was a versatile, a multi-talented writer, and that was William Shakespeare during the age of Renaissance. So we have Middle English period, that is Chaucer. We have Renaissance, that is Shakespeare. Then we have John Milton, one of the most important writers of the Restoration age, that is John Milton. Now John Milton को लास्ट स्टार ऑफ रेनेसा भी बोलते हैं. ही इज वेरी मच इन योर कोर्स हैज पैराडाइज लॉस्ट बुक 1, 2, 4 and 9. तो ये पैराडाइज लॉस्ट में आपका बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट राइटर है. एंड इनका ही हैज अ जायंट ऑफ द प्योरिटन एज, दैट इज द रेस्टोरेशन एज. ही इज क्रूशियल फॉर हिज ग्रैंड स्टाइल, एपिक वर्क लिखा है. सो ऑफ कोर्स ही हैज अ वेरी एलिवेटेड rhetorical language that he uses, and his attempt to justify the ways of God to man. क्यों पैराडाइज लॉस्ट लिखा है इन्होंने? To justify the ways of God to man. इस पे क्वेश्चन भी आ चुका है that explain yesterday the concept, the idea of to justify the ways of God to man. English language, Paradise Lost, Areopagitica, Samson Agonistes, Paradise Regained. So many works that he has written are of renowned great importance in today's time. So after your Middle English period, Renaissance, Restoration age comes your Augustan age, and that is your Jane Austen over here. Now Jane Austen ka Pride and Prejudice, again in your course, is a very important text. Now remember one thing, we are talking about novel, a genre which had not evolved in the early 18th century. It was only in the 18th century that genre novel ka aaya, and that became very important. Interestingly, and I'm very glad that Jane Austen, जो कि बहुत important एक female author है उस time का, she is included in the course, and she was a pioneer of the English novel who used irony, social satire through her language, through her satire, through her wit. She actually talked about the condition of the women, that how difficult it was for women, their financial independence was hardly there, and she was one of the few writers, female authors, who had the agency and who had the ability to earn. Otherwise women were hardly acknowledged to be writers. So she is essential for understanding the domestic novel and female perspective in the 19th century. Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, and Emma. So 19th century में जो work लिखा था, so that became important. Remember, novel evolved only in the 18th century. It came much, much later. Now, William Wordsworth, your Romantic Age writer, very important. The pioneer of the Romantic Age, along with S.T. Coleridge, P.B. Shelley, Byron again. Coleridge, William Wordsworth is in your course. इनके बहुत सारे poems हैं course में. And we talk about poetry, especially of the Romantic Age, then remember that there is no poetry lesson is complete without discussing Wordsworth, because of his emphasis on nature, his emphasis on human-centric poetry that he wrote. So he went away from the Augustan age writers. Okay, he did not talk about Alexander Pope. He did not say that he did not actually like their writing. He said that उनका intellect ही से वो लिखते थे. There was hardly any emotions through which they write. So for him, for William Wordsworth, his poetry was an spontaneous overflow of powerful emotions. That is how he described his poetry. So इनके key works, Lyrical Ballet, The Prelude, Tintern Abbey, which is all in your course, और काफी सारे course में आपके हैं, ये William Wordsworth हैं. Next you have is Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens, another important writer, very important writer in the Victorian era. So Victorian era was basically the age of novels. जहाँ पे सिर्फ novels लिखी गई थी, Charles Dickens हो गए. You have William Makepeace Thackeray, George Eliot, and you have Thomas Hardy. So many authors that only focused on novel. Why? Because there was a boom in literacy, there was a boom in production, in print production, and of course, there was a shift in the preferences of the genre, and the novel genre became very popular. So realism, क्या हो रहा था society में, वो Charles Dickens ने अपने wit के साथ, humor के साथ, and अपने his ability to write so skillfully, so well, and this is how he wrote. The definite Victorian novelist, he used his work as a tool for social reform. He highlighted the struggles for poor child labor and the harshness of the Industrial Revolution. A Tale of Two Cities, Hard Times, Charles Oliver Twist, Great Expectations, all these are included in your course. Now you have George Eliot, who's again in your course, a Victorian novelist. George Eliot, लगता है कि male author है, but she was a female writer. Her name was Mary Ann Evans. उसके बाद इनके Middlemarch, The Mill on the Floss. The Mill on the Floss is in your course. बस इनका यही work है. लेकिन Silas Marne ने बहुत works लिखे थे. And again, it is as per as it is human centric, it also gives a wonderful perspective of female. Okay, then you have another work, and that is another writer, that is T.S. Eliot. Again in your course, T.S. Eliot modern age के सबसे important poet है, a Nobel Prize winner, and he is there in your course. He has talked about the futility of human race in an age, okay, which was gripped by world wars, World War I, World War II, which unfortunately everyone saw in the 20th century. And this becomes all the more important because we are living in a different age even now. So T.S. Eliot ka work, chahe Wasteland ho, chahe Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock ho, which is based on the idea of existential crisis. So that becomes highly important. So in the leader of the modern movement, he introduced object correlative and fragmented narratives. इनका literary criticism भी आया है, literary theories भी आई हैं इनके. He's given wonderful essays as a literary critic, a Nobel Prize winner, and this actually made him one of the most significant writers. इनके publication house के publisher भी रह चुके, Faber and Faber के. So this is a very important writer. Virginia Woolf, again another modern female writer. Her work is also there in your course, that is Mrs. Dalloway, and इनके work में है. A central figure of modernism and a pioneer stream of consciousness. She's also a foundational figure for feminist literary criticism. A Room of One's Own, इनका wonderful essay है, which talks about that how females do not have the ability, do not have the space to write. They do not have a room of their own. They do not have the privacy wherein they can think and write in peace. However, males do have the privilege of having their own space, and this is the reason that there are more male writers as compared to female writers. Lastly, you have George Orwell, one of my most favorite writers, and if you guys have seen my previous videos, I have always talked a lot about him because he has given us those ideas which no other writers has given. उन्होंने एक ऐसे 1984 हो गया, चाहे उनका जो 949 में लिखा था उन्होंने, या Animal Farm हो गया, such exquisite works जो कि it actually tells us about the age that we are living. So he was, of course, a prophetic writer, according to me, and he had the ability to, he had a very astounding vision, he could see what could happen in the later years and which we are experiencing now. So famous for dystopic fiction, political commentary, his work explores the dangers of totalitarianism, of the dictatorship of the society. 1984, Animal Farm, Homage to Catalonia, all these are very important works. So guys, these were 10 writers. By the way, George Orwell is not in your course, but I would always recommend for your entire perspective, holistic knowledge of literature, even for GS paper as well, because he's often asked just like that, maybe in your interview. So guys, these are 10 writers that I wanted to discuss. Now, lastly, 21st April, my course is starting. So if you are going ahead with English literature optional as your subject, join my course every day, 1 p.m. live. We have classes, entire discussions happen of the entire courses. Right now, I am on Rape of the Log by Alexander Pope. So if you guys want to go ahead, purchase the course, be a part. 21st March, I'll be starting with the batch, and so now this is the 14999 पे हमारा course शुरू हो रहा है. You can call the executives. सारा description दिया गया है description box में. Call for the executive, ask anything, what the fee structure is. If you want to see my demo classes, if you want to be part of the class before purchasing the course, then you all are most welcome. So I really hope to see all my students there who are wishing to take English literature, who are willing to develop a good habit of analyzing the answer, analyzing the question, writing good answers, writing perfect answers, and of course want to read, because literature requires a lot of reading. So thank you everyone. I hope to see you all in the classes. Bye-bye.
StudyIQ IAS, आपका सिलेक्शन हमारा मिशन.